Long before the word America was ever spoken, before flags, before presidents, before armies marching to the sound of drums, there was only land, vast, silent, powerful. Forests so thick that sunlight struggled to touch the ground, rivers so wide they looked like moving oceans, mountains that stood like ancient guardians, watching centuries pass without saying a word. This land did not know it would one day shake the world. It did not know kings would fight over it, or that millions would cross deadly oceans just to stand on its soil. But history was already moving, slowly, quietly, and the story of America had already begun. Chapter 1: The First Americans. More than 15,000 years ago, long before Europe had castles or crowns, human beings were already walking across this land. They did not arrive by ships. They did not carry flags. They followed animals. They followed survival. During the Ice Age, giant glaciers locked much of the world in frozen silence. Sea levels dropped, revealing a land bridge between Asia and North America, what scientists later called Beringia. Families crossed it step by step, generation after generation. They had no idea they were entering a new continent. To them, it was simply the next place to live. Over thousands of years, these people spread across the land, from icy Alaska to warm southern plains, from dense eastern forests to dry western deserts. They became Native Americans. But they were not one people. They were hundreds of nations, each with its own language, each with its own culture, each with its own story. Chapter 2: Nations Without Kings. Some tribes hunted buffalo across open plains. Others farmed corn, beans, and squash. Some built cities. Others lived nomadic lives. The Iroquois Confederacy created one of the most advanced political systems in the world, based on councils, debate, and shared power. The Mississippian civilization built massive earthen mounds and trade networks that stretched for miles. In the Southwest, the Pueblo peoples constructed stone cities that still stand today. There were no crowns, no emperors, no written constitutions, yet these societies thrived. Nature was not something to conquer, it was something to respect. The land was alive, and it was already home. Chapter 3: Two Worlds Unaware of Each Other. While Native Americans hunted, farmed, and governed their lands, across the ocean, Europe was restless. Kings wanted gold, merchants wanted new trade routes, churches wanted new followers. Europe was crowded, power was expensive, and the East, India and China, held spices and wealth that Europe desperately wanted. But the routes were long, dangerous, controlled by rivals, so Europe looked west, into the unknown. Chapter 4: 1492: A World Collides. In 1492, an Italian sailor named Christopher Columbus convinced Spain to fund a risky voyage. He believed he could reach Asia by sailing west. He was wrong. But his mistake changed history forever. When Columbus landed in the Caribbean, he believed he had reached islands near Asia. He did not know he had discovered lands unknown to Europe. Europe called it a new world. For Native Americans, it was the beginning of the end of their old world. Diseases arrived before armies: smallpox, measles, influenza, illnesses Native Americans had never faced. Entire villages vanished. This was not conquest by sword alone. It was conquest by microbes. Chapter 5: The Great European Rush. Once Europe realized this land existed, the race began. Spain claimed the South. France moved into Canada. England watched carefully.
Explorers mapped rivers, soldiers planted flags, priests built missions. But England had a different plan, not just to explore, but to settle, and that decision would change everything. Closing of Part 1. The Storm on the Horizon. By the early 1600s, the land was no longer quiet. Ships were coming, settlers were arriving, native nations were being pushed, pressured, and promised things that would soon be broken. The stage was set, the land had been waiting, and soon America would begin to take shape.
Part 2. Europe looks west and the birth of the colonies. Hook, the promise of land. Imagine a land so vast, so full of opportunity that a man could start over and become anyone he wanted. Europeans heard whispers of this land, stories of gold and freedom, forests and rivers that seemed endless. It was a dream, and dreams were expensive, but worth the risk. Chapter 6. England takes notice. By the early 1600s, Spain and France had claimed much of the Americas. England had been slow to act. But now, with growing population and rising poverty, England needed a solution: new land for new people. Companies were chartered to fund voyages. Investors were eager to take risks for profit. The first attempt was in Roanoke, 1585. It failed mysteriously. Settlers vanished. England learned the New World was dangerous, but worth it. Chapter 7. Jamestown, Survival Against Odds. In 1607, the first permanent English settlement was established at Jamestown, Virginia. The colonists were unprepared for the wilderness. Swamps bred disease, food was scarce, tension between leaders and settlers was high. For months, the colony struggled to survive. Starvation and disease claimed many lives. Yet, against all odds, Jamestown endured. The secret? Adaptation, trade with Native Americans, and slowly, tobacco. Tobacco would become Virginia's lifeline, turning a struggling colony into a profitable enterprise. Chapter 8. Puritans and the Massachusetts Bay. Around the same time, religious refugees, the Puritans, sailed north to escape persecution. They founded Massachusetts Bay Colony in 1630. Their goal was not profit. It was a city upon a hill, a society governed by faith. Life was strict, work was hard, and dissent was dangerous. Yet they thrived, building towns, schools, and a framework that would influence American culture for centuries. Chapter 9. Expansion and Conflict. As colonies grew, so did tension. Native Americans were pushed off their land. Trade and alliances became fragile. Europeans fought Europeans as much as they fought natives. Dutch, Swedish, and French settlements dotted the east coast and interior. England slowly consolidated power, turning disparate settlements into a growing empire in North America. Chapter 10. Seeds of Independence. Even in these early years, hints of a unique identity appeared. Colonists adapted to new land and conditions. They created local governments, militias, and town meetings. They were still English, but slowly, a new sense of self was growing, a sense that would one day blossom into a nation. If this story made you think, if you enjoyed this journey through history, then go ahead and give this video a like right now. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments, because your comments inspire the stories we tell next. Share this video with friends who love history, who want to know how America was truly born. And for more deep, simple, and cinematic history stories, subscribe to our channel now. History doesn't end here. Many more chapters are yet to come.